Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're me comparing a 2021 Ford Bronco Big Bend to a 2021 Jeep Wrangler Sport. First and foremost though, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Ford Lincoln here in Provo, and then Larry H. Miller Dodge Ram Jeep Chrysler here in Provo for giving me some time with the Jeep and with the Bronco. I'm going to include a link to both of their inventories in the description down below. With all that being said, let's get into the video. Now let's go into the hoods of both the vehicles. Starting over here with the Bronco, we have the turbocharged 2.3 liter four cylinder that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. It's good for 300 horsepower and then 325 pound-feet of torque. Now moving from that to the Wrangler, we have the turbocharged 2 liter four cylinder that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. It's good for 270 horsepower and then 295 pound-feet of torque. And that's under the hood of the Wrangler. That's the Bronco. Now let's go to the front ends of both of the vehicles. We're going to start over here with the Bronco Big Bend, and as you can see, we've got the mirrors that are actually attached to the body, and that makes it so that when you take off the doors, you actually still have mirrors. Pretty cool. Now coming down below, we do have LED lights here with the Bronco, and then we've got the Bronco logo, fog lights down below there, and then we've got the tow hooks here on the front end, and that's everything for the Bronco. Popping over here to the Wrangler, something that's pretty cool is we actually have these, so you can lower down the windshield onto them. Mirrors are normally attached to the doors like any other car. But anyways, obviously something that's cool about the Wrangler is the latches here for the hood. And then we just have the regular lights here with the Wrangler, so they're just the halogen bulbs. Got Jeep signature front grille with the turn signals integrated into the fender flares. Fog lights just like the Bronco. We've got tow hooks there on the front end. And yeah, I want you guys to let me know in the comment section below which front end you like better. And then also something I want to mention is the Big Bend. I guess it makes sense that it's called the Big Bend because it looks like it's a little bit taller. Now let's go over the tire and wheel setup. So we've got two 45mm tires wrapped around 17-inch wheels over there, two 55mm tires wrapped around 17-inch wheels over on the Bronco. Now popping back over to the Jeep, you guys can see the wheel design. It's kind of like an old school off-roader type look. Obviously doing the silver for the coloration. And then you guys can see the front suspension right here. And then notice this accent piece right there. We've got the Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Sport logo. Trail rated 4x4 badge, and then we already talked about the mirrors a little bit earlier. Notice the door handles, how they contrast nicely against the white paint, and then this one is a hard top. And then coming over to the Big Bend, notice with the dark gray wheels, so they kind of went for more of a modern theme. And then you guys can see tread there on the tires, front suspension, and then you guys can see the fender flares are a lot smaller than what the Wrangler has. And then notice blacked out door handles. Now this one does have a soft top on it. And then popping over here to the rear, you guys can see the wheelhouse liner, everything kind of covers all of that. And then going over to the Bronco. Now the biggest difference with these actually has to do with the suspension. So we've got a solid front axle here, got independent suspension over there. So they do drive a little bit different. On road, the difference isn't as much as what you'd think. They both feel relatively the same. Off-road is where you're really going to feel the difference with that solid front axle and then the independent suspension over on the Bronco. So annoying. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Look at that. Now let's pop into the rears of both the vehicles, starting over here with the Bronco. You guys can see that we've got, well, this little tab here that you can pull up, and you've got some storage space and tools and all that stuff underneath. But yeah, storage space back here, really good with the Bronco, and it's pretty easy to close. Just gotta pull that back. And then going over to the Wrangler, you can see that have another tab, pull stuff up. It's almost like Ford like slightly copied Jeep in a way. But anyways, notice storage space just as good. It seems like they both have about the same amount of storage space. And then I forgot to mention this in the Bronco, but the Bronco also has this body painted just like the Jeep. So if you take off the top, you have the body painted section showing. And then if you guys are wondering, on the Bronco hardtops, same system with like the window and then the door like what the Jeep has. Soft top's just a little bit different. Now let's finish things up here in the rear. So first off, you guys can see the taillights here on the Jeep, and then we've got spare tires on the back of both. And then notice we've got the camera there in the center, and then we've got the recovery hook just down below. And then popping over the Bronco, you guys can see the design here with the taillight, and then we've got the Bronco logo. But notice we've got the camera in the center of the tire, just like what they have over on the Jeep. And then again, recovery hook off to the side. I mean, there's so many similarities. It's pretty cool. But again, there's the back of the Bronco, and there is the back of the Jeep. Now let's go over the interiors of both of the vehicles. We'll start over here with the Jeep. So notice we've got some padding here where you rest your arm. I love the door handle on the Jeep. And then we've got the netting down below. Got these full cloth seats here for the back. I'm actually going to pop in and see if there's any space difference between them. So here's the Jeep. Feeling the Jeep. Okay. Got the vents here. Got the window controls. Got some cup holders, all that fun stuff. But let's close that up. Now coming over the Bronco, notice this one has pretty interesting color, but notice we still have the padding right there and also a cool door handle and netting down below. Now I've got the cloth seats here in the Bronco, definitely nice. And pop in. Feels about the same, to be honest. Notice that we've got the charging ports, all that stuff in the back. But yeah, let's head to the front of actually the Wrangler first. Now let's go over everything here in the front. So notice we've got the padding here, and then down below we've got the net, and then again for the door handle, the mirrors are heated, which is nice. You've got all of your mirror controls here on the door, and then also the door lock and unlock. And then here are the seats at the front. So again, full cloth seats, nice bolstering. And you guys can see the adjustments there on the seat. And then we'll actually pop in, start her up. So you can hear that 2-liter turbo do its job. And this one is pre-owned, so it's got 14,000 miles on it. So not technically brand new, but it's a 21. That's all I care about. Anyways, here's the steering wheel on the Jeep. So this has got nice leather trim all around the steering wheel itself. And then you've got the dark stitching in the center. Cruise control, we've got our controls for center stack, voice command controls. Got our turn signal stalk right there, windshield wiper stalk. And then notice the gauge cluster right here with the Jeep. So notice how they have like the orange accenting on the gauge cluster, and then you've got the screen there in the center. I definitely love the look of this, just how it looks from an aesthetic perspective overall. And moving from the gauge cluster to the infotainment system. First off, pop it into reverse. So notice we've got the backup camera, has trajectory lines, they turn with the steering wheel. Resolution on the camera is fantastic. Now that's for the rest of the screen. Response time's great, has dual zone climate, which is another nice feature. And notice that this is all sealed off, so you actually can spray off the interior, which is pretty cool. Got all of our analog controls down below for the climate controls, for the radio, and notice with the stability control, and then it has off-road cruise control, which is pretty cool. Window controls in the center, and our media, all that fun stuff. This is our shifter for that 8-speed automatic, and then we have our drive line select. So we've got our 2-wheel high, 4-wheel high, neutral, and then our 4-wheel low. Got our traditional brake, couple cup holders, and then you can see the center console with all the storage space. Got a USB inside of it. Got our Wrangler grab handle. I love this trim piece right there with the coloration. You can see the glove box set up right there, and then you're like right next to the windshield. And obviously being a Jeep, it's like flat, but the Bronco's same with like flat windshield. Anyways, here at the very top, which sorry it's a little bit dark, you guys can see we have the parts, so you can take off this pretty easily with those little latches right there. And then you do need to use tools for the back to take the rest of that off. But yeah, that's the top of the Wrangler, so let's head over to the Bronco. So here's the door panel in the front of the Bronco. It's pretty much identical to what you get in the rear, so it has the cool door handles. And something that's always interesting with the Broncos, since the mirrors are obviously mounted on the body, the door comes so close to the mirrors. It always freaks me out whenever I open a door to the Bronco. But anyways, here's the seats. We've got that cool two-tone design, manually adjustable. And let's pop in, start her up. Ooh, pretty cool. Bronco. But anyways, notice for the steering wheel, we've got leather all around the steering wheel, just like with the Wrangler. We've got dark stitching. Got controls for the center stack. Got our cruise control on the other side. We have our turn signal slash windshield wiper stalk, because the light controls are actually down there. And let me turn down the AC. But you guys can see that whole setup. And then we do have the gauge cluster, a little bit different, right? The Wrangler has more analog gauges. This has a really big screen. It does have the analog gauge off to the side, but we are more screen than anything else. You guys can see information though is pretty much the same between both the vehicles. What you can see in the center screen, it's just a little bit different from an aesthetic perspective. We have our trail turn assist, stability control, hazard lights there. Got the infotainment system. Pop it into reverse. You guys can see the backup camera with the trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel, and it's got zoom. Wrangler did not have that. As for the rest of the infotainment system, response time with it is good. I feel like they're both pretty much the same from a response time perspective. Most manufacturers are really good with that nowadays. Anyways, analog controls for the radio down below. Single zone climate in this, so I guess that's a point for the Jeep because that one had dual zone climate. And then you guys can see Got more storage space right there. Got the shifter for the 10-speed automatic. You can shift it yourself with those buttons. Now we've got our 2-wheel high, 4-wheel low, 4-wheel high, and then our off-road cruise control. So that's pretty much all the same. We do have our different drive modes we can go through. So those will pop over here. So we've got our normal, eco, sport, slippery, mud ruts, and then we've got our sand mode for the different drive modes that you can go through. Window controls here in the center. We've got our mirror adjustments, and then we've got the center console. And then coming over here, we've got the glove box. Notice the grab handles off to the side, not in the center like what you have with the Jeep. And then finishing things up here at the top, got a sunglass holder. And then this one is a soft top, so it pulls off a little bit different compared to a hard top. But anyways, notice we got some latches and stuff like that there. And then we do have the mirror dimmer. But yeah, that's all for the top. Now let's quickly go over pricing. So this Wrangler, when brand new, was about $41,000 for the sticker price. This Bronco sticker is for about $38,000, almost $39,000. So there's roughly a $2,000 price difference between both of the vehicles. And with all that being said, let's kind of talk about things. So first off, obviously aesthetics are completely subjective. So again, I want you guys to let me know if you prefer the look of the Bronco or the look of the Wrangler, just these two compared to each other. Again, the Sport versus the Big Bend. Now going from that to the interiors are super similar. It's crazy how many elements between both of these are just like pretty much identical. I mean, obviously they're competitors, but it's crazy to see all that. But again, the biggest difference, we've got the solid front axle here. We've got the independent suspension over there. So it is going to change driving dynamics a little bit. The biggest difference you notice is when you go over bumps in the Bronco, it still does like the normal like shaking and rattling that both of these vehicles are going to do, because you can take off half the vehicle, so you're going to get that. But the Bronco, right, it doesn't hit as harsh as what the Jeep does, but on most roads, when you're on road, there really isn't a huge perceivable difference. They almost drive identical. The one thing I will say is the Bronco with the steering is a little bit heavier than what you have with the Wrangler. It feels a little bit more direct with the steering rack, but again, if you don't drive them back to back, you're not really going to be able to perceive those differences. Now, aside from that, like in terms of like bang for your buck, equipment wise, they're almost identical. Again, like they come with so many options that are about the same. So it really just depends on which one you like the looks of more. And that's really it with these two. Like, do you like the Jeep look more? Do you like the Ford look more? And yeah, I mean, it really does come down to that at this point, which is, I think it's pretty cool that we have that. And obviously that's why they're competitors. Now that's going to sum things up for our comparison with this 2021 Ford Bronco Big Bend and this 2021 Jeep Wrangler Sport. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Ford Lincoln here in Provo, and then the Dodge Ram Jeep Chrysler in Provo. I'm going to include a link to both of their inventories in the description down below. I will see all of you guys in the next video.